Forest ecosystem.
I feel that with what I do now, I get to continue what my slain workers swore to do. I get to continue their advocacies.
Antoliano hopes the path he takes will not be the same as those he succeeded. The widows of the two slain forest rangers say they have little hope for justice. No charges have been filed against those suspected of being behind their husbands' killings. According to Conservation International, the forest of the Philippines is one of the most threatened in the world. And despite the Philippine government's total log ban, illegal logging activities still continue. This illegal logging operation was conducted a few hundred meters away from a military checkpoint. Most of these groups are protected by paramilitary forces, making the job of enforcing the total log ban even more difficult. Now the government is proposing the militarization of its campaign against illegal loggers.
The illegal loggers are armed. There is the presence of the left, the participation of some local officials, and the presence of corruption in the area. And I believe we are losing so many in terms of lives because of this situation.
For now, it is not just the forests that continue to be felled, but also those whose duty it is to protect them. Jamela Alindogan, Al Jazeera, Surigao del Sur, Southern Philippines.
Agricultural ecosystem. Urban ecosystem.
Air pollution is a leading cause of premature death and disease worldwide. Around 7 million people die each year due to exposure to polluted air, making it the 7th leading risk factor for death globally. Air pollution is a significant issue in the Philippines, particularly in urban areas. According to the World Health Organization, the country has some of the highest levels of air pollution in Southeast Asia, with high levels of particulate matter and ozone in the air. We're going to focus more on urban air pollution. So, what exactly is urban air pollution? Urban air pollution refers to the contamination of the air in urban or highly populated areas. It is often caused by the emission of harmful substances such as carbon dioxide, nitrogen oxides, and particulate matter from human activities such as transportation, industrial processes, and the burning of fossil fuels.
Coastal ecosystem. interconnectedness and common issues dot of this various ecosystems.
Dissolved inorganic nitrogen is a pollutant to the reef. We use it on farms in the form of a fertiliser. If the nitrogen from the fertiliser isn't taken up by the plants, it often gets washed into creeks and rivers and ends up accumulating in the inshore areas of our reef. And while in small amounts nitrogen is fine, it's in excessive amounts after high flow events where it can create algal blooms in our inshore area of our Great Barrier Reef. These algal blooms can create turbidity in the water, so sunlight can't reach seagrasses for them to grow, and that has ongoing impacts. Our dugongs have nowhere to feed, and it can also impact our turtles and our dolphins who use these inshore seagrass areas as habitat and feeding areas. Another problem is when we create these algal blooms, they settle on the bottom of the inshore area and the bottom of the estuaries, and then they start to use up all the oxygen in the water while they decompose. And this oxygen is obviously needed by fish and some of the species around it. In Queensland, one of the highest causes of nitrogen runoff is from cane farms. As we've seen today, farmers are doing their bit to improve water quality entering our reef. We've seen on Tony's farm today that he has reduced the need for nitrogen fertiliser by 40%. And he's using compost to do it. Compost that he has created on the farm from fallow crops, part of the sugarcane itself, and green waste. So what we've seen today and what Tony is doing is amazing for other cane farmers to learn. They're sharing information, they're innovating, trialling new things to help them reduce their impact to water quality. And that, of course, ultimately benefits our Great Barrier Reef, the home to our dugongs and turtles that we love so much.
Coastal development is one of the biggest threats to the Great Barrier Reef because those changes that have happened in the catchment change the function and services that support the health of the Great Barrier Reef. So what we've got is we've got nice big deep water holes for fish to go up and down. We've got lovely flows of water, big flushes of fresh water during flood events. All of these things are important to the health of the Great Barrier Reef. And as we change the landscape, we change the way water flows. So those aquatic changes are modified and we end up with changes to the receiving waters of the Great Barrier Reef. The changes in water flows are a bad thing for the reef because it needs a certain amount of fresh water and it needs a certain amount of nutrient as well, but we've changed those. So we've got artificial flows, faster flows that come with huge velocity. They don't have time to slow down and get filtered and get cleaned before it gets to the Great Barrier Reef. So every urban area that goes in, cement goes in and changes that ability for the ground to actually soak in the water and process it before it actually reaches the Great Barrier Reef. So the water comes in bigger flows with lots more things in it like litter, pollution. They don't have time to be cleaned before they get to the reef. And then our marine park, flora and fauna both get impacted from that. The impacts from that are actually losing those deep water holes. So you've got lots of water coming and it's got lots of sediment. It fills up the holes in the rivers and creeks. So fish don't have anywhere to go when there's a dry season. They end up in those areas where we've got nurseries for small fish. They can't actually survive anymore. So we've got lots and lots of changes that come from that water that's being delivered there because it's not in its natural state.